Welcome to another episode of Home Sweet Home. My name is Rod McCall.
And I'm Scott Nichols.
Would you say that you have a good relationship with your wife? That your relationship is as rock solid as granite?
I think so. I think, I've definitely come to the point where I feel like I'm not going to lose her.
Okay.
Right? There's probably nothing I can do that would be an instant loss of the marriage, right? So
Okay.
I think that we're pretty solid. I mean, we've been together for 34 years. I mean,
Okay.
it's a long time. Married for 32, so it's a long time.
Okay. Now, your son is married.
Yeah.
And would you say that his relationship is pretty strong and very solid?
Yeah. I think they have a similar connection as my wife and I do. So
Okay.
it's going well.
Now, your youngest daughter is dating a feller.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that their relationship is rock solid also?
Well, I mean, I think they're at the begining of it. Right.
Okay.
I mean, I think they're definitely good for each other. We'll see where it goes. But
Okay.
I'm sure there's a lot to be learned there. They're on the younger side.
Okay. Have you, the reason where I'm going with this is there, how would you know if a relationship, your relationship, is struggling? Your relationship is not on strong footing. It is not a lead pipe lock guarantee to last.
Sure.
I mean, I guess what I'm pointing or asking you are if we want to do a self-evaluation of a relationship that we are in. I'm thinking mostly, romantic relationship, not necessarily a work relationship, though that might work for that too.
Right.
But if we're in a very committed relationship with our significant other and we're going, yeah, we're pretty solid, or, ooh, how do I know? I mean, because you said that you and Eileen have a rock solid relationship with each other.
Yeah.
So how do you know? I mean, are there clues that maybe we could look for, explore, ask ourselves that might help us be able to confirm that, yes, by golly, we're good?
I mean, just the thought of not being sure, I think, leads to the idea of trust. How do you feel about the other person, and are you trusting them in the relationship? I don't know. I think that's probably a big thing.
Trust?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, would you say that? Do you feel like trust is a big thing in your relationship?
Yes.
Would you know if there was a lack of trust?
I think so. I think it starts with yourself. Do you trust your partner?
Sure.
If you have absolute trust. Okay. All right. A good example. Sherry made a comment a while back.
Okay.
And she goes, I don't even know what the heck we were talking about. But she goes, well, I know I can trust you. I don't have to worry about you cheating on me.
Sure.
And my first thought was, well, yeah, that's having been on the receiving end a couple of times,
right.
There's no way I would do that. Now,
sure.
So there has to be I trust her. It's taken a while. There were times where she was getting text messages from her ex-husband, and I'm going, why is he texting you? It's 8:30 at night.
Right. So you had some suspicion.
Yeah. And
right.
It always, it turned
Granted,
out.
they shared some kids, I imagine. So, right.
Yeah.
There's probably a legitimate reason to be having a conversation, but it got your jealousy up and your suspicion and those kinds of, so, those are things that are the opposite of trust.
Sure.
And so I think if you see those things, or if you're feeling those things, and it's not that your partner has an issue. It's that you have an issue.
Thank you.
Right.
And that's where, if you can trust your partner, that when they say, hey, well, I'm going to work, and they're gone for 10 hours, you know that they're going to work.
Right.
And you don't need to track their phone and call them at work, because if you are doing that, then, okay, why are you doing that? Why do you have this lack of trust?
Right.
Now, I mean, again,
it could be legitimate.
Yeah.
Right. And, like they really could be doing something, but unless you have some kind of outside confirmation of that, then there's probably no reason to be concerned with it.
Well, I'm a firm believer that a person, their word is tied to my evaluation of their value. No, I'm not saying that right. Okay, how about this? When I want to trust what you say.
Yeah.
And so therefore, if I discover that you're lying to me a lot, then my trust with you is broken.
Sure.
I was raised with the belief that a person is no better than their word.
Right.
If the person's word is worthless, well, then there's not a lot of worth in that individual.
Right.
And so I tend to judge people. No, judges may be a harsh word. I tend to evaluate people and how close I let them get to me by how strong their word is.
Right. I do want to say that I think that this is, because we're talking about trust, and I guess I'm feeling that, there are things that can happen, right? There are signs that could show up that might cause you, right? And those are the external things I was talking about that might cause you to question the trust. And that's not necessarily invalid. The issue I think I'm thinking of is are you just always mistrustful without any kind of valid reason? Right. I mean, are you just scared of loss so much that you mistrust, and then that's going to actually create the loss that you were afraid of in the first place?
There are a few mental health personality disorders that lead to that. Yeah. Eric's mother, I discovered, had some of these, and she was very distrustful of me. Where are you? Are you sure you're doing that? Well, maybe we need to test you to find out.
Right.
And I felt like I was always having to defend that I was exactly where I was.
And that's exhausting.
Yes.
That's very exhausting and not a great place to be in a relationship. So, I mean, if you're the person feeling those things and putting that onto the other person, then you probably need some help.
Well,
with that issue.
It is definitely a red flag if you are having trust issues in your relationship.
But those are going to lead, trust issues that are not valid are going to lead to valid trust issues at some point. Right. It's going to cause things to take place.
Well, so another red flag, all right, that I have, and tell me if you have, but ties in with your ability to resolve conflict.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can do it healthily, then I think you have you have a good solid relationship. But if you're constantly arguing, if you're constantly fighting, constantly nitpicking, you can't resolve an issue very well without name calling or insulting.
Yeah. I think this is about healthy conflict resolution, right? This is about not doing those kinds of things, and you don't have to take everything personally, right? You need to validate the other person's feelings, and you don't always have to fix it, but there might be something that you have to do, and the other person might just be bringing it out so that they can hear it and figure out something they need to do. So, but I also think that silence is awful, right? Like avoidance is not the way, because that just festers, right? That just makes everything get worse.
Tying in. Oh, I'm sorry. I interrupted you.
No, you're good.
Tying in with that, I think, is the idea of listening to understand rather than listening to respond. Because if I'm listening to respond to you, then I'm not really hearing you.
And I think that's where the fixing comes in, right? These guys like me tend to want to fix the problem. That's just a response. Right.
Okay.
I think that rather than just listening and letting it sit.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And thinking the only thing I can do is fix myself. I can't fix the other person. So if there's something that I can do in the future to alleviate these kinds of problems, then I should do that. But I don't have to mention that. I don't have to say that. I don't have to, you know.
No, I totally agree. I have found, you know, and Sherry reminds me frequently, I can't control what other people do.
Exactly.
I can only control how I react or respond. And so when you're having a conversation, you know, if you're not seeing eye to eye, now here's the thing. I think you're never going to see eye to eye 100% of the time on 100% of the things in your relationship.
No.
So when you do, and you can have a conversation, an open conversation that includes active listening and empathy, then you might have some resolution, some healthy conflict resolution issues. But and this is where with Eric's mother, there was a lot of aggression on her responses. Felt like I was personally being attacked.
Yeah.
And there was not a lot of listening to understand.
Yeah.
Or she would totally shut down. These were, you know, and it contributed greatly because it turned out there were more and more things. The things that we did not see eye to eye on continued to grow.
Yeah.
And so kind of another red flag, another problem.
And that's an issue, right? Because if you have a difference in your values, then you're going to have conflict. Right. So, and what's one of the major things that leads to divorce, as far as I understand it, is money.
Yes.
Right. And which to me is just like not a big deal, but you know, money. And this is a reason why my wife and I, ever since we were teenagers and got married, like we've always had a joint bank account.
Yeah.
Our money is not separated, right? It's in one place. Our paychecks get deposited into the same account. We sit down, we go over our money, we pay our bills together, we do those kinds of things. But it's just that way we're on with it, right? As much as possible. Now, are we completely? No. I love to spend. I mean, our relationship is opposite. I love to spend. My wife is as frugal as can be.
Yeah.
Right. And to the point where I have to take her to the store and say, you will buy some shoes today. Right.
Okay.
And she sees that as a loving act. Don't,
okay.
I'm not being controlling. It's just, you know, your shoes are definitely worn. It's time. Right. So let's go do it. And she's a runner. So you got to keep buying shoes.
Oh, at least every 6 months.
It's like, you got to have values that line up as much as possible. So, and you need to make sure that they're not so different. And this is why, you know, like a lot of people suggest you should have similar religion. You should have, you know, those kinds of things are things that divide people.
As you say that, I thought when I was marrying Eric's mother, we had these same values. We were both raised Catholic.
Yeah.
Active practicing Catholic. We thought, you know, we both believed in education. We both had similar ideas of how we're going to, you know, raise children. And, you know, we had the shared bank account. We had all that. And yet she couldn't budget money to save her life. Right. She was a spendthrift. I discovered that through her mental illness, one of the things that actually brought her pleasure was shopping. And so it was kind of like, holy cow, she was always going out and spending money. And she'd go, oh, I got so many great deals. I saved so much money, you know, and I'm going, you spent $300.
Sure.
How much money would you have saved if you hadn't shopped at all? I mean, we had core value. We said we were alike in raising children. And yet once Eric was born, she went one way and I went another, and it created a lot of conflict. So we had issues with child rearing, and we had issues with money.
This is one of the areas where my wife and I think are unusual. And we've told this story several times to lots of people, and they're like, wow, that's remarkable. In that, you know, we were 18, 19. We ended up getting married at 19 and 20. But before we did that, we talked about raising kids. We talked about money. We talked about, you know, education. We talked about all kinds of things, religion. I mean, everything that we felt were important to us. We did that some in a counseling format with the pastor who performed the ceremony as a requirement to do that.
Right.
But we took that seriously as a discussion with us over a long period of time, right? We were together for a year and a half or so before we got married. So it's just, you got to have those serious conversations before you make that final commitment. A lot of people these days just think, oh, I'll get together with you, a few weeks later, we move in together, we test it out, we see if this works.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. I mean, you gotta have that relationship that we talked about. And then you gotta have, the best thing to do is to have those serious discussions. I mean, you don't walk into a dealership to buy a car and not consider all the factors. Right? I mean, if you do, you probably get a loan that costs way too much money for a junky car that's going to give you lots of problems. Right? Or you could go in and, have a good negotiation on it, come to some terms that are agreeable for everybody, and have a great experience. Right? So, I mean, it's a similar kind of situation. Like, there's a negotiation that takes place as you become kind of one in a relationship. And so I think that having those discussions beforehand eliminates that mismatched core values kind of idea.
I will say, though, and like I said, Sherry and I did that too. We had these conversations, and it's worked out pretty good. I had the same conversations with Eric's mother, and we even went to the same marriage prep class provided by the church, and I thought we were on page together until we weren't. And when she started making more money, she goes, well, I make more money, so I get to make the final financial decisions, not you.
Right.
And when it came to child rearing, discipline issues were, he can do whatever he wants.
Sure.
And I'm going, that's not a smart, healthy thing for a 3-year-old.
Yeah. I mean,
we had a lot of different, as things developed, our values did not align at all. And it played a massive.
And yet after that marriage, which clearly you thought they were aligned and they weren't ultimately, you still did the same thing with Sherry, right? You still had those same conversations. So
yes.
And it's worked out.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't like, it's not a science.
No.
Right? I mean, marriage is a risk.
It is.
And it's a risk worth taking.
There's only 2 guarantees in life.
If you go into it and you have those discussions and you eliminate the idea of divorce from your mind, you probably have a better shot at achieving that. If you go into it and sign a prenup and just say, we're going to try this out, then you're probably only trying it out.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, but you got to have as close to the core values as possible and then still be individuals.
And it's tough. It is really tough.
Hard. It's not easy. Nobody said it was.
No. And so if you're not aligned, then you, again, might be into some troubles. Something else that changed over time in my marriage to Eric's mom was a lack of respect.
Yeah.
And I think that lack of respect for each other wound up being both directions.
Yeah.
She had some health issues, but I felt after a while she was milking those health issues. She got angry with me, was telling me, well, we need to make more money. And I'm going, well, I'm working extra duties at school. She goes, you need to stop that. Just go get you a job at McDonald's. And I'm going, well, I can work at school, extra jobs making $25 an hour.
Sure.
Or I can go and get a job at McDonald's, which I'm overqualified for, working with my own students, making, just over minimum wage or at minimum wage. And I'm going, yeah, no, I'm not doing that.
Right. You're going to feel like Walter White doing that, working at the car wash.
Exactly.
But here's the thing, right? Like, that came from a place of trust or a mismatch in core values, right? So all of this kind of stems forward into that, where And somebody, this is why money, I think, is a big deal, right? Somebody who thinks that we just need to have a little bit more money is never going to have enough money.
No.
Right? More and more and more is always the thing, and that's the drive. And I don't think that in a successful marriage, the drive can be for money.
No.
So that's kind of where that's at for me. But I think that one of the things that fights this is that action we talked about in a previous episode where you do something to flirt with your partner.
You
refocus yourself. Why did I get with them? Right? Why? What was that feeling that I had initially? I mean, I sometimes tell my wife that I don't feel like the honeymoon ever ended, but I keep it up. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, are there days? Sure. But I keep it up. I keep telling her that I love her, why I love her, what ways I love her. I mean, those kinds of things are, I think, important. And I think that fights a lot of these kinds of things that might come up.
Well, because if your partner is dismissive of you, if they're belittling of you, of what you want, your aspirations, your dreams, then that's not healthy. Yeah. I mean, and again, I go back to my failed marriage with Eric's mother. There was all kinds of negative contempt that I felt from her that led to me feeling the same thing towards her.
Right.
And I mean, she was always interrupting me, rolling her eyes at things that I would like to do or suggestions that I would make. And
sure.
I mean, because in a relationship, we are partners. You and Eileen are partners. Sherry and I are partners in what we do and how we do it. And if we dismiss each other's contributions, I don't know, to me, that's just a flaming red flag saying run, run, run.
And that's important too, right? Like you want to deepen your partnership and you want to become a team chasing after the same goals, right? You want to have the same vision. You want to have the same dreams, or at least similar dreams that you can achieve together. I mean, you that's all part of it, right? Like you need that. It can't just be, whatever it was on day one. You have to grow together. You have to create that life together that you have, and you can't just assume that's going to take place. You have to actually make that happen.
I heard a quote that I thought was really powerful, and it said, "Love cannot truly survive where respect has died." And I will tell you that my respect for Eric's mom and her respect for me, they had both died.
Yeah.
We did not like each other, respect each other. And so therefore we really didn't love each other at the end. And I think part of that came down to the fact that we weren't working as a team.
Yeah.
I mean, we are partners in this, like you were saying.
And it's not always recoverable, right? Like sometimes it's just not going to work. But if you give it the best effort, I think that most of the time it will.
Oh, right. Absolutely. So. I mean, you got to share the work, divide up the household chores. I mean, I need to do better with this with Sherry because I don't know that I do all the household chores that I probably should. I mean, I try and do most of the cooking, or at least a lion's share of it. Some weeks I do better than others. I'm trying to, with the dishes, making sure the kitchen is cleaned up. I mean, we have a service to mow the yard, so I don't have to worry about that.
So that's nice.
But I don't know. You got to work together, collaboration.
I do that too. I mean, I do some of the chores around the house. I do some of I just do it because I like it, right? Like I like to do the dishes. I like to take care of those things. We know that I love the dishwasher. So, and in fact, we just got a new dishwasher.
Hey.
So, which is, living in an apartment, it's awesome because I just said, hey, it's broke. And they would, okay, we'll bring a new one. So we got a new one. It's better than the old one. So, that's an upgrade.
Now, big question I have about that. Are you learning that you can load it a different way?
Oh, you can, because it's better better inside, right? So there's definitely better ways to get the dishes in there. But I like doing those things, and sometimes my wife is very traditional. She kind of feels like that's her role, and I'm always like, we're just two people living in an apartment together. Like,
yeah,
I mean, yeah, we're married, but Like I'm not going to come home and pop on the couch and say, grab me a beer and let's,
and where's my dinner?
Watch you do everything else, No, I mean, that's not how it is. We both have jobs. We're both professionals. We both are tired at the end of the day. And when I see something, I just do it. And it's just do I do everything? No. Right. No. I even told her that. I'm like, there's some things I just don't ever do. And apparently you do them because they get done. So I just, but it's a partnership, right? It's a team. It's I can't expect one person to do all the things. And so I take part. I mean, I tend to make the bed because the mattresses we have nowadays are heavy. Mm-hmm. And you got to like really pick them up to be able to put the sheet around them or to flip it or. Mm-hmm. So it's much heavier, and she doesn't really want to do that. Mm-hmm. So I tend to do that. It's just finding the ways to do it together, right? Have that life together. And that gives you more time, especially if you're not fighting about it, to do other pleasant things that you like to do. Mm-hmm. Go to the movies, have dinner.
Yeah.
Hit a museum, go do whatever, travel. I mean, if you're not fighting over those little things, then it makes it easier to do the other things.
Well, again, marriage is work, or being in a committed relationship is work.
Absolutely.
And it requires sacrifice, and it requires a team effort mindset, like you were describing, where we have shared values, where we have effective communication, where we have trust and respect for each other, common goals. Crying out loud. Shoot, you think of a team, a sporting team, and how are they successful? They have all of these.
Right.
And the teams that are dysfunctional are the teams that don't have these very well, or any of these. And I mean, again, you mentioned about the honeymoon. The honeymoon is easy. I mean, those first few days, weeks, even months are fun and exciting.
Yeah.
But then reality sets in that you're doing this forever. Well, you got to work together. So I don't know. I am very blessed that my relationship with Sherry is a lot better and a lot stronger because we are able to avoid some of these pitfalls we just described.
Right.
And when we do kind of stumble a little bit, we're both able there to recognize it, pick each other up, dust each other off, and move forward together.
We will often look back on our journey, and now we have the benefit of all the smartphones, and I've got 20 years of pictures and all that kind of stuff. And so when we get down, we often look back on those memories, and we can see our journey, and we celebrate that. I think that's important too. But today our studio time is up. So
holy cow! Well,
we're gonna have to cut this one just a couple of minutes short, and
then I guess I better shut my yapper and say, see you later. I'm Rod.
I'm Scott. Bye-bye.